Hello and welcome to Digital Game Critics. I'm Alan Hunt and this is Mike Jones. We are here with Nick to talk about Dark Souls 2. So Nick, can you tell us a little bit about the Dark Souls franchise to begin with?
Well, Dark Souls was actually the second. It was the spiritual successor to a game called Demon Souls, which came back a little while back, and Dark Souls followed a lot of hints from it. It kept the combat system, the controls. Personally, I don't have a lot of experience with Demon Souls, so I can't talk about that. But Dark Souls it's a Western style RPG in which you control, which that means is like you control a single character. It's not turn based. It's an action combat system. You name your character, you design your character, like it puts you in the character creator, you design his face, male, female, whatever. Generally, you're a silent protagonist. Like it never shows you saying anything. You get a hang of that from like Zelda and stuff like that, where like your character just walks up and stares at the characters.
It's kind of a, I need help. Yes, no.
Yeah, pretty much. Even that might be too much, to be honest, for Dark Souls. I don't think that ever happens. But yeah, so it's a good game. It's gotten a reputation of being difficult. Dark Souls started that. It was very difficult. It was very not new player friendly because it would drop you into like an open world and it would not tell you the right way to go at your level. And like 3 out of the 4 ways to go would lead to terrible death, and like the one way would lead to slightly less terrible death. So it was definitely a game that was kind of a love letter to the more hardcore crowd. And Dark Souls 2 has kind of taken that the other direction a little bit, a step back. Like it's still just as hard, but it's kind of dialed back, like the figure your own way around.
Okay.
It'll point you in the right direction when you start playing, which is it's good for the newer players.
So does it? You've mentioned Dark Souls 2 has a little bit of hand-holding in the beginning. Are they quick to let you go on your own, or is there like a tutorial line and then you're on your own?
I mean, both games technically have a little bit of tutorial. Dark Souls 1 started off with the Asylum. It would have a bunch of like controls like written on messages along as you moved along, and then it would end you off with a boss that would like kind of start off your play style. But Dark Souls 2 definitely has more of a tutorial. Like it like makes sure that you know what's going on before you go forward. Like I said, it's much more new player friendly. Someone who's never stepped on a Dark Souls game before might actually be better off starting with Dark Souls 2 and then moving to Dark Souls 1 because the beginning is linear. It actually explains you like the beginning of the storyline, what's going on. It even weaves in your character creation pretty nicely, so that's a nice touch.
Okay. Do you would you be confused if you played Dark Souls 2 before you played Dark Souls 1? Or are the storylines separate, just kind of the same world?
Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 1 both exist in the same world from what we've seen. We're pretty sure.
Okay.
The community's pretty sure it's the same world. A lot of the mechanics are the same. A lot of the same themes come along and reference each other. But the storylines are not directly linked. It's not like the next day after Dark Souls 1 you've begun Dark Souls 2. It's like it doesn't tell you how much further in the future Dark Souls 2 is, but you can easily guess a couple hundred, even 1,000 years.
Okay.
Like that's how removed they are. So really it's a sequel only in like that it's named a sequel type of thing.
Okay.
Okay. So what about the gameplay? What's the gameplay like?
Well, the gameplay is much like Dark Souls 1. It's full action combat. Like all combat takes place in real time. You will get mobbed by things like if you don't know where you're going or if you fall into a trap. The controls are a little unintuitive if you've not like they're different than most other games. Like you have your attacks on your shoulder buttons instead of like on your normal pad, and then it does take some getting used to. Really, one of the major draws of the Dark Souls franchises is your gameplay style can shift so radically. If I'm a sword and shield user, like my my fighting style is way different than if I use a spear, or if I use magic, or if I use a bow and arrow, or a crossbow, or whatever. Like each one of these things changes the game entirely, and they can either make the game harder or easier for you based on whether you want them to be. And I mean that's also a thing with Dark Souls is the game is as hard as you want it to be. If you want to cheese the game, there are ways to do it. If you're smart, you can go around. You can find like you can over level like a stat or whatever, and you can go around and summon friends and kick the crap out of the game real easy. Or you can challenge yourself and use like almost no armor, the weapon that you think is cool looking, the armor that you think is cool looking, and give yourself a little bit more of a challenge.
Okay. Are there any like other features to the game, such as like a co-op or a PvP? I know the game is mostly single player.
Dark Souls 2 comes in with its major change from Dark Souls 1 is it comes in swinging with a whole bunch of new systems. With Dark Souls 1, you had PvP, you had co-op, you could summon friends to help you with an area and to help fight a boss, and people could invade you to like kill you and try to take like your souls and stuff. With Dark Souls 2, that's still there. There's also like specific areas where like you are almost guaranteed to come into a PvP situation. There's something called like bonfire ascetics, and a bonfire ascetic is basically it'll turn an area of the game into like New Game Plus or New Game Plus Plus, and it's every time you beat the game and you go into New Game Plus, the entire game changes. They've made that a thing. The entire game changes. It puts new enemies in new areas. Everything's harder, obviously. Everything has more hit points. And when you use one of these bonfire ascetics, that area upgrades to the next level. The problem with that is if you don't expect it, is that stays forever. So if you go into New Game Plus, the area that was in New Game Plus is now New Game Plus Plus. So if you use that bonfire ascetic at say like the first area where you first come in, then you'll find yourself with no weapons or something against like 5 dudes who are perfectly willing to just kill you a lot.
Do you know of any like DLC or anything that players can look forward to if they get the game?
See, that's hard to say. It's kind of a coin toss. Demon Souls never had any DLC. Dark Souls did. So there's precedent for DLC, but it's not really the kind of series that has like enforced it like every time. Like Street Fighter is always a DLC, or right. There's a lot of types of games that have always have their DLC, but Dark Souls, it could go one way or the other. It really depends on if they feel like putting out some DLC, they'll put some out, and that's cool. But the game's pretty complete as it is. You're not going to be pining for more. Like your first playthrough is easily going to break 40, 50 hours, no problem.
That's good. And then I had another question. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I forgot. Do you have any questions?
Yeah. I haven't played Dark Souls yet. I was curious about it. I was reading something about the souls or something. You're losing souls by dying.
Oh, okay. Well, the way that souls in Dark Souls, if you've never played any Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, souls are acquired by killing things. Every time you kill things, it gives you a certain amount of souls, depending on the monster, how hard it was, whatever. You collect these souls and you use them for both currency and experience. Okay. So if you want to level up, it takes so much, so many souls that increases with every level. And then if you want to buy something, it also requires souls. So it's currency and experience. So you're running around, and as obviously as you level up and get better equipment, the requirements for those items and levels is higher. So you have to start like investing more and more time acquiring this bigger and bigger pile of souls that you're running around with. When you die, you drop all your souls where you died. You keep all your equipment, all your armor, whatever, but your currency, your souls, are in that spot where you died. And you go back to the last bonfire, which is like checkpoints in the game. Okay. And in order for you to get those souls back, you have to go back to that spot and pick them up. But there's only one pile of souls at any given time. So if you die again, all of those souls are gone. Ooh. Forever. And that's where you're gonna have, those are the horror stories you're gonna hear people say, where like I lost like 100, 200,000 souls, which could easily be representing 2 or 3 hours of work. So
We're running short on time, but what's your favorite moment that you had playing Dark Souls, 1 or 2?
That's hard. My favorite moment playing Dark Souls is probably going to be, so far it's going to be Dark Souls 1.
Okay.
And I'm going to call it, when I beat a boss. There's a couple bosses called Smo and Ornstein in Dark Souls 1, and I beat them at level 1, which is I'm like midway through the game at that point, because I was doing a challenging run for myself, and I beat them at level 1, and I did it to prove a point, like with a system, like how you could make the game easier or harder based on like how you did things, and it was super hard, but the level of satisfaction you get from doing stuff like that, and you can do it in Dark Souls 2 just as easily. I just haven't gotten there yet. But the level of satisfaction you get from like challenging yourself and doing it, even when you don't have to, is off the charts with Dark Souls. You just have a whole lot of fun. I would recommend either of those games to anybody who has the constitution to put themselves through a little bit of pain.
Okay. And then do you know like the release date for PC? I know Dark Souls 2 is out obviously on consoles because you were mentioning that.
Yes.
Do you know how much it is or when it will be out on PC?
Well, the Dark Souls 2 came out on Xbox 360 and PS3 a while ago, at the beginning of the month, I believe, or the end of May. And there's been a little bit of a complaint because they've had to down-res the graphics. Like it looked really pretty in like the pre-release like shows that but they had to down-res it for the systems. That added a whole bunch of like excitement for the PC release, which is April 25th. I'm almost sure of, is where you can get the digital copy. Because a lot of people are looking forward to like modding the graphics back up and like making the darkness, like there was supposed to be a big selling point in Dark Souls 2 where like areas were supposed to be really dark, so you would require a torch to get through them, and people are looking forward to doing stuff like that, to making the game back to its original hardness that they were expecting.
Okay. Thanks for joining us. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we will have our review for the Elder Scrolls Online. Hello and welcome back to Digital Game Critics. I'm Alan Hunt with Michael Jones. We just heard from Nick about Dark Souls 2, and now we're going to move on to talk a little bit about Elder Scrolls Online, which came out 12 days ago.
12 days ago, I cannot remember. I was sitting in front of a screen playing, I think. All I remember is my new name is Walks in Sun, and I can't remember anything else.
Okay, Walks in Sun. So I'm assuming you play in Argonian because they have those 3 names.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. What have you been doing these past 12 days in Tamriel?
A little bit of everything, but mostly running around finding stuff to make armor. The crafting system is just great. It's not too difficult. It's not too easy. It's just right in that, middle ground. So you don't got gold farmers coming around the place just taking your nodes and stuff, because it takes about 5-10 minutes for it to pop up.
Right.
Yeah.
The crafting system is very intuitive. Like, you go to make your armor, and all you need your iron bars and a motif piece.
Yeah.
For your various racial things. So, it's very intuitive, You can pick it up like that, and then you just, as you're out doing a quest, there's a node that I need, harvest the materials, do that 2-3 hours until your inventory's full.
Yeah,
go back.
If you're a beginner, it just needs 2 things. He was just a beginner.
Oh, so what level crafting are you then?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Well, my level as a character is just 15, but my crafting is around 25-30.
Oh, okay. So then, because I've only gotten to steel crafting, so then I'm assuming you have more crafting than I do?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I got the star metal, well, is it called star metal crafting? I think so. Yeah. And I got me almost all the motifs except for 3 of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. except for the Khajiit and not the Red Guard. I got the Red Guard last night. Imperial.
Imperial? Yeah, that was a hard one to get.
Yeah, one thing I hate about that was I got the pre-order Imperial Beta and was hoping that all my characters, no matter what race they was going to have the Imperial motif already.
Oh, okay.
But they didn't. So now I got to go around finding it.
Well, if you get the Imperial Edition, then you can just convert anything you make into an Imperial.
Yeah, but it's just to look that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the various racial armors have different stats over each other.
No different stats over each other, but if you want to sell Imperial armor to somebody who can't be an Imperial.
That's true. That's true. Now, my favorite system that I've had so far would have to be the class system for the various classes like Templar, Dragon Knight, Nightblade, all those classes. Because I mentioned this in the last episode that you're not locked into what your class does. Like I'm playing a Nightblade who has a lot of like sneaky skills and health draining skills. Yet I am perfectly fine going into a party dungeon and being the tank. I play a Khajiit. I have heavy armor, one hand and shield. I've got some crowd control with a shield. I can knock people over. I've got self-heals from being a Nightblade, as well as close area buffs for any other melee fighters that might accidentally draw Argo in the form of, I forget the name of the spell, but it creates an area around me, I think it's like 8 meters, for 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, that increases everybody's armor by 200 and some points.
Okay.
Making me a perfect tank, in my opinion. I mean, I still need a constant stream of healing coming in because I've got 20-odd mobs attacking me at any given moment.
Yeah, that's one thing about the game. This game has a lot of solo players that don't know how to team yet.
Right, right.
They just love to run straight in battle, and if you're the healer, you only got a certain range to heal the guys. And then they split off chasing after the stragglers. And as soon as they split off, they don't have healing anymore. So they get dropped by one little straggler, and you're just standing there running for your life when all the stragglers come and converge on you. My character is a Templar, and he uses sword and shield. But I was building him so that he can be solo on one, and then I can flip to the second one and make him go to healing. But I always gotta say, stay in the circle. Stay in the circle. Now I'm starting to scream kill circle.
Yeah, a kill circle, right. Yeah. But I've actually, one of my biggest problems with the dungeons, though, not just people who are used to playing the solo Elder Scrolls, where their character is the healer, the tank, and the damage dealer all in one.
Yeah.
It's got to be the loot system. In dungeons, think of like a World of Warcraft where you go in, you kill the boss, and everybody gets to see what the boss dropped, and then they get to roll whether they need, greed, or pass, right?
Yeah, that's annoying.
I mean, that's a great system because then you have an equal chance of getting the loot. And if you're in a party together with friends that you know, and oh yeah, that guy really needs the heavy armor, I'm going to just roll need or greed on it, because if he doesn't need it, I'll just take it and sell it for money.
Yeah, I never liked that system when I played WoW, because it could be two of us, or I'd be in the group, and all of us the same level, or the same race, or the same class, and we all want the same thing. Because I like to put my groups in packs like that, like a pack of archers or anything.
Yeah.
But this system, once something drops, you get your own separate amount, and he gets his own separate.
Right, I like that for the bosses,
thing, but
the problem is most of the good loot comes from the chests inside the dungeons.
Yeah.
And if you don't get to it first, and you're in a public group, you have no idea what's in that chest.
True.
So you could see somebody open the chest, and I usually say, anything good? And they say, nope. Maybe they're pocketing a blue sword that I could be using right now. And they're an archer.
Yeah. I really wish they would have made the mini game for opening those chests a little bit harder, because I got over 100 lockpicks now.
Wow.
Lockpicks are everywhere in this game.
Yeah, I haven't,
and I haven't broken one yet.
Wow. I've broken a few lockpicks. I mean, I'm not an expert lockpicker like I was in Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I whenever I come across a chest, I usually get in it in the first or second try, unless somebody comes and ninjas my chest.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be a lot harder. I don't know how high up the chests go, but I got past to...
I believe I once saw an advanced chest, like it was chest advanced. I was not able to get through it. I had to have one of my friends break into it for me. Mm-hmm. We were in a party together because I just couldn't get in there, and I just couldn't. I could get the first 4, but the 5th one, yeah.
So you're using the trick, the one with the double mouse button trick?
No.
Oh, no wonder. For such a high level. What level are you now?
I believe I am level 25.
You're level 25 and you're still not using all the tricks.
I am a lawful good character. I don't pick locks.
I thought you were a thief.
Just because I'm a Khajiit doesn't mean I'm a thief. You're stereotyping now.
Yeah, okay.
Just because you're an Argonian doesn't mean I automatically assume you lick history.
I'm not saying anything. Yeah, I don't lick history at all. Nope, not once. Nope, never did it. You never seen me. You never proved it. One of the interesting things about this game too is what I just found out was that you can be in more than one guild.
You just found that out?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, the 5 guild thing. It's really good because there's no auction house.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've got my regular guild that I'm in. That's got all my friends that I've played other games with. Mm-hmm. I've got my trading guild, which is literally a guild where all we do is buy and sell stuff.
Yeah.
And then I admit I'm a role player, so I've got my role-playing guild, and then I've got 2 spare guilds, or 1 guild that I made with my friends, just so we can have more bank space and not pay 1,000 gold, just for 10 extra slots or 5 extra slots.
Yeah.
So we've got that guild. It's just the 10 of us, and so we each get 50 extra bank slots, give or take. And we have an agreement not to take each other's stuff without permission.
Yeah, because when you invited me to your guild, I was really on the fence not going to go to it. It was like, should I go to this guild or not? He's my friend, but I need a guild so I can sell my stuff. And then I looked at it, I was like, what's these guild 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And then I read, I was like, oh, I can do 5 guilds. So I can go with him on his guild. Yep. And I can find me a guild to just sell my stuff.
And then the last thing that I would like to talk about is the quest system. Like every Elder Scrolls game, I love the fact that there are multiple storylines. You've got the main storyline, the Cold Harbor. Yeah. You've got your faction storyline, the Pact, the Dominions, all those. Mm-hmm. Storylines where you get to fight off the bad guys. You got the PvP storyline that always goes on, and then the guild storylines, just like every classic Elder Scrolls game. And as people might recall from the last episode, I was not very enthusiastic about this game, but now I've played it almost nonstop.
I knew it. Yep. So is it worth the $15 a month?
I think it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it about 3 months and see how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
See if I can actually get through everything, but since I'm not a person who rushes into things, it's gonna take me a lot longer, maybe a year.
Yeah, I haven't actually, I only briefly touched the PvP, so I'm not going to talk about it, but my first impression of the PvP was it's not fun, but like I said, I'm not going to talk about it. Yeah. I haven't really had a chance to play it properly.
Yeah, there's still some bugs with a lot of things like
PvP in the zone chat, I keep seeing people saying that it's just a laggy Zerg fest, so...
Yeah, since we're all new to it, there's not going to be no strategy. Just run and smash somebody in the head.
Yeah. Anyway, so what's your review on it?
My review, it's really smooth for just coming out. There wasn't no server issues that I saw on my part. It's not slowing down. One of the best openings I ever seen for a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Besides a few glitches with the quests, and they need to work on the matching system for finding characters to group with. And yeah, they need to work on the grouping system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. For me, it's the grouping system needs to be worked on, you know, because if you're in a dungeon and people steal your chests, going back to that issue, you can't kick them out. They're in there and they're just going to keep stealing your chest, and you can't bring in somebody new because the instance already has 4 people. For me, it's I would highly recommend, if you're into these types of games, I would highly recommend at least wait for a demo to come out and then try if they have a 2-week demo, or buy the game for $60 and take the 1 month free period. If you like it, you like it. If not, I'm sorry about the $60 part.
Yeah, the $60 part, well, I feel that the $60 is good because you're going to be committed to it, plus the $15 a month because you're paying $15 a month, so you're going to play the game.
Pass, try, or buy?
You know, I'm going to have to say a buy because $60, you got to pay the $60.
Right.
And it's really good. And the fighting system is amazing, like I said last episode.
It is an Elder Scrolls fighting system. So if you're interested in getting the game, it is out now for PC, and it's coming out later this month, I believe, for consoles as well. It is, like I said, it's $60 to buy it up front with a $15 monthly service fee or subscription fee.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on Digital Game Critics. I'm your host, Alan Hunt, with Mike, and we'll see you next month.